This video is going to give you a full tutorial on the Eclipse network, a new blockchain that you can interact with. I'm going to tell you why you might want to do that. Hint, you can potentially earn money by being early to this, and I'm going to give you a step-by-step breakdown of some of the better things that you should focus on. So for starters, what actually is Eclipse? It's another roll-up on Ethereum, except they're calling it a Solana virtual machine L2, which means that the experience to actually interacting on Eclipse is very similar to the experience of interacting on Solana. Eclipse has raised $50 million recently and $65 million in total. And in terms of the new networks that are available for you to interact with and potentially earn yield and airdrops from, I would say this is one of the better targets. Now, before you can start actually doing anything on Eclipse, you're going to need to have a wallet that is compatible with this network. I would recommend actually just getting the Backpack wallet, which you might already have if you use it for Solana, but it's also actually compatible with Eclipse, which is great. Now, once you have downloaded the Backpack wallet and set it up, you're going to need to bridge some funds to it in order to start actually interacting with the different applications that I'm going to walk you through here. And the gas token on this network is Ethereum, just like an ETH L2. So in order to actually get some ETH onto Eclipse and then start doing stuff, you're going to need to bridge some. Now, there's two ways that you can do this. The first one is that you can use the Eclipse official bridge. However, this bridge is only from Ethereum mainnet, where gas fees can be quite expensive depending on the time of day and which day of the week that you're bridging on. However, I would say it's probably advisable to bridge using the official bridge at least one time. However, if you wanted to bridge via a cheaper route, for example, from a different Ethereum L2, you can use third-party bridges. Hyperlane is a good one because this actually triggers an interaction for the Hyperlane airdrop. So this is a solid way that you can bridge from different networks to Eclipse, but you can also use Relay Bridge, and L2 Finance has a route to Eclipse as well. So once you are set up, you got your Backpack wallet and you've bridged some funds to the network, some ETH to actually pay for transaction fees, this is where you can actually start interacting and potentially qualifying for this airdrop. So now I'm going to walk you through some of the higher priority tasks that you're going to want to focus on. Now, the first thing that I'll mention, and you'll notice here in my wallet, is that I have this token called Turbo ETH or TETH. This is their native liquid restaked ETH, so it earns staking and restaking yield just by holding it, and it's one of the main pieces of collateral that you can use on the network. So I think it's probably going to be incentivized for people that mint TETH. You can do that by clicking on this button here. This is an alternative to bridging, is that you can actually mint TETH using any one of these tokens here, and then it will show up on the Eclipse network as TETH. It will convert one of these assets directly into TETH for you. So minting some TETH is another good step. And I do think that minting it natively could be a criteria or a multiplier or something like that. However, you can also actually swap into it. So let's say if you just bridged some ETH and you wanted to swap that on the Eclipse network directly into TETH, you can do that using one of the decentralized exchanges, but I'm going to talk about that in a second. Now, there's already a wide variety of different apps that you can use on Eclipse. And this page right here, the Eclipse ecosystem page, shows all of the different integrations that are available. So for the purposes of time and this not being like an hour-long video, I'm obviously not going to walk through each and every single one. However, I will hit on some of the bigger ones, some of the more important targets. Now, for starters, one thing that you're definitely going to want to do once you've bridged some funds to Eclipse is go over to TurboTap and start actually earning points for this. So this is another one of these tap games. If you sign in and tap on the screen, you'll earn points for doing this. And you can obviously sit here doing this manually, but that can be quite time consuming. And if you don't want to do this mindless task, another way that you can earn points for TurboTap is simply by bridging and holding assets in your wallet. So right now, since I don't have a ton in this demo wallet here, I am earning 189 passive gas per hour. And that is based off of a calculation giving me points, passive points for this, depending on how much I have in my wallet, and then also some stuff with Eclipse DeFi. And I'll show you some of the stuff that I'm doing in a second. So yeah, you can earn passive points by bridging and then taking those assets and either holding them in your wallet or using them in DeFi. And you're definitely going to want to, rank up as much as you possibly can in this. Some of the top ranked guys are way out of the park. I think some of these people must be using auto clickers and botting it, or just bridging huge amounts of assets to earn passively. But even if you can just, try to get 10K points, 50K points, 100K points, the more the better. Now, aside from TurboTap, which is almost certainly going to be included in the airdrop allocation, one of the other main things that's a major part of this ecosystem are the key NFT collections. So let's talk about that now. Scope NFT.xyz is the official or the main NFT marketplace for this network. And if you click on this button here, collections, you'll be able to see some of the top collections. Now, really, these top two are the ones that are more likely to be relevant for the airdrop. The founder of this collection here, ASC or After School Club, is literally the head of community or some high up position with Eclipse. And there's pretty much a guarantee that by holding one of these NFTs, you'll get some sort of allocation for the airdrop. Hence why they are quite expensive at this point. So I can't really recommend necessarily paying for one of these because obviously that's a pretty significant capital investment. However, if you already have one thing that I will say is that you should not list it because the founder of this collection has tweeted, delist the NFTs, keep them unlisted. I think that people that have listed them for sale will not qualify. So that's an important point to note. The other collection that is slightly more attainable and probably still will be incentivized for the airdrop is the Validators collection, which is currently trading at a floor price of 0.15 ETH. So there's been a lot of speculation, but also more or less confirmation that these two collections will be relevant. Aside from that, you can check out the Scope Launchpad and you can mint some of these random NFTs. They are like $2 or $4 to mint. Yeah, this one is going to cost me $4 to mint, which is actually a little bit pricey for kind of a throwaway transaction. But I think maybe minting a couple of them, let's say 3 to 5, might have some sort of relevance. Of course, there's risk associated with all of this stuff, and you have to decide what you're comfortable spending money on. Okay, so aside from TurboTap and then NFTs and the Scope network, let's talk about some DeFi stuff. A couple of the main ones are Astral Finance, which is a money market where you can borrow and lend assets. And then another one that you could check out is EnsoFi. Both of these allow you to supply and borrow assets on the Eclipse network and will potentially qualify you for some benefits. Now, Astral Finance has a points campaign, as does EnsoFi. I've been focusing more on Astral Finance. I've deposited some TETH, and if you're feeling a little bit more degen, you can also borrow against your deposited collateral and loop it that way. You can track the points up here in the top right corner, and the dashboard is very reminiscent to me of, for example, MarginFi on Solana. They probably actually forked MarginFi to make this because it looks very similar. So I would definitely recommend checking out at least one of these two platforms, Astral or Enso, or both, and then making a deposit and interacting with it. Aside from the money market side of things, there's also the decentralized exchanges. And one of the ways that you can actually get some TETH, which I was mentioning before, is by swapping on a DEX like Orca. So this is another fork or copy paste from Solana, and you can trade different tokens on the Orca DEX. Another one that you might look at is Invariant. These guys do have a point system on. I personally haven't been farming it. You get points by providing liquidity for this one. And the more fees that you earn, the more points that you get. So if you provide liquidity on a more volatile cryptocurrency pair, then you will earn more points. So for example, ETH and USD will earn more points and more yield than providing liquidity on a correlated pair like TETH and ETH. So yeah, making some swaps, maybe moving a little bit of volume, and then actually providing liquidity if you want to take it to that next step. Another thing that you can do is register a domain name on Eclipse. So I have registered Krypto Cove, and that means none of you guys can steal it. I got in first, and I recommend doing this. You never know, it could be relevant and you want to tick as many boxes as possible. And by the way, in each of these different categories, there are other options. For example, you can use Solar Dex to make swaps. You could use Nucleus if you want to try and get yield as another option for DeFi. So I recommend scrolling through the ecosystem page and checking out any ones that look interesting to you. The final kind of important or main category that you might want to check out is gaming. There's a couple options. So for example, I can take a small amount of ETH and wager it on a virtual game of rock, paper, scissors. So let's try this out and see if we win. Nope, that one was a draw, so I can reclaim my money. Anyways, kind of dumb. There's also a little snakes and ladders game here. This one, you can pay a small amount in a transaction fee to roll the dice and then see how you progress along the board. And you can potentially win prizes if you do well. So just experimenting with a couple of these different types of things could definitely help you out. And every time you push a transaction on this network, that is obviously going to be good too. So then in terms of some just overall strategy, if you hit each of the categories that I just mentioned, and then you try to transact at least, let's say, once a week until the airdrop happens, ideally more frequently than that. And if you try to move a little bit more volume, the more you can bridge, the better it's going to be, obviously, because you'll be able to do more and you'll earn more points for a turbo tap. So all of this stuff put together, if you do it, I think you'll be in a pretty solid position for the Eclipse airdrop. I think there is still some time to qualify for this one. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this little video and found it helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and I will be back next week with the tutorial on the Abstract network and how you can potentially earn from that one, because they are supposed to be launching next week as well. Thanks for watching and have a great day.